Hello and welcome to Sunday Run Day, the podcast. As I mentioned in this podcast, I want to share stories of the everyday runners from around the world. Not only just my story, but stories of you guys around the world of where you've come from in your running journey, from the start of your journey to where you're at now and all in between. It's something that really I'm passionate about and something that really excites me when I hear other people's stories and how far they've come. Like I mentioned when I done my event recently, I love to hear people in all walks of life of what they've carried out and the reasons why they want to run and the reasons why they're running either that day or why they got into running. I think it's just really inspirational. We all have such beautiful running stories and there is a story behind all of us. So everyone out there that's listening, I know you all have a running story and I do want to hear from everyone and I'd love to share so many. Now this week I'm very fortunate to be able to share a story of someone that I met last year when me and Clara went over to Jordan to carry out in the Albatross Adventure Marathons in the Petra Desert Marathon. Now me and Clara took on the half marathon distance. Now Simon, who I'm going to speak about this week, he took on the marathon distance. And I was lucky enough to meet him there and talk about his experience at Petra and a few other runs that he's actually done. But I'm also very lucky that I followed his journey from that moment where we met into Petra to where he is at now. And I can also say that his improvement that he's made on his running and the things that he's done since I met him only last September to where he is now is amazing. And that's just something that I'm super proud of him about. I think he's done an incredible job with his running journey. It's something that he's really got into now and he loves running. And yeah, I'm super excited to be able to share his story with you guys. First thing I'd like to do is thank Simon. Really thank him for taking the time out to share his story with me and having that conversation. For me, it was a great conversation. It put a big smile on my face always when I listen to you guys and you're telling me your running stories and your passion for it and your inspiration as well. It really makes me happy because it's something that I love. I love to talk about running and I love running in such a way that I want people to be passionate about it. And that's why I mentioned in last week's episode how I feel everyone should run a marathon. The feelings that we get from doing that is just insane. It's amazing. And I want other people to feel that. So I'm very fortunate that Simon was able to share that story with me. And I really enjoyed listening to his story and yeah, just kind of having that conversation about running. So the second thing I'd like to say as well is a big thank you to him for allowing me to share his story with you guys. It has been an amazing story, something that really inspired me as well. Just listening to everything that he's been through to where he is now, it's incredible. I have wrote a few things down because I don't want to forget anything. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that conversation. So thank you very much, Simon. So like I mentioned to many people when I always start talking about running, it's always that question of why did you start running? Now for Simon, unfortunately, when he was around about 38, he had some health issues. And he was told by the doctors at that time, if he didn't change a few things in his life, that he shouldn't be planning for his 40th birthday. Now that alone, like when he told me that, it was pretty emotional. I got very emotional myself just listening to Simon and, hearing that. It's such a hard-hitting thing of being told that from a doctor that, not to plan for only a birthday a couple of years away. So Simon knew he had to make some big changes in his life. Now during those changes, he actually had a few seizures and he ended up in the ICU. So pretty alarming stuff. And he was his health was definitely not in the place that he wanted it to be. Now, safe to say that Simon now is really healthy and he's really getting into running. It's so impressive to see of hearing that story of where he's come from to where he is now. It's amazing and massive hats off to you, mate. I'm super proud of you for what you've overcome in that moment and to get there. So that was, back then, I say around about when he's 38 years old. Now, he was living in Abu Dhabi. At the time, kind of COVID come around. So in Abu Dhabi, the same as many places around the world, the same here in Australia. Maybe Australia were a little bit more strict in COVID of lockdowns and stuff, but the only really way you could go outside at that time was exercise. And I can attest to that as well. And I think a lot of people around the world really did take up running during COVID. I remember for myself, it was pretty much the only thing we can do. So definitely done a lot more running during COVID than I probably did leading up to COVID because it was the only way you could go outside the house. Now for Simon, it started off with walking. He'd put his mask on and he'd go out for a walk. He was weighing heavier than he wanted to be and decided that, well, walking is probably one of the best exercises we can do to start with. So he started walking and the weight started dropping off. He started to feel a lot better about himself. And so much so that he started to talk to his friends, and a lot of his friends were then carrying out different events. Some of them carrying out marathons, some of them doing other different running events. So one thing leads to another, walking turns into running, and Simon starts getting into running. Now he started enjoying running, and as I said, the weight started dropping off. So, started off just, maybe a couple kilometers runs, and then it progressed into more. Now, as I mentioned, he was told that, he shouldn't be planning for his 40th birthday. Then he has his 40th birthday, it was fast approaching. And he thought, well, I need to plan for it now. And I'm going to plan to do my first event, because I've been told that I might not make it here, but I'm here. I'm here and I'm feeling good and I'm enjoying my running. I want to do an event. Now, his birthday's in January. So leading up to his birthday, he was kind of running out of time to actually, do an event. So he's looking around the world, and as I say, he was living in the Middle East at the time. He was looking where I could do an event. And he actually found an event that was in Omsk in Siberia, and it was actually held on Russia's Christmas Day. So this event, bearing in mind, I'd just like to say, Simon's living in the Middle East, where we all know is pretty warm temperatures over there in the Middle East, and especially that time of year. I'm pretty sure the temperatures are feeling pretty warm as well still. So he then goes over and does this event in Siberia, and it's minus 18 degrees. So I can't imagine how the training that you've put in really wouldn't have made any difference in that temperature. You're training in warmer climate, and even though you're running, you're feeling great, being over there and in that moment of minus 18 degrees is pretty intense. I can't imagine running in minus 18. So absolute hats off to you for taking on the first event and then going to Omsk and going minus 18, half marathon, let's do it. And he did. He absolutely loved it as well. Because my next question I was asking him was, what was his favorite running event? So that's how he first started getting into running. And the reason being, just for health reasons to start with. And then, let's say, COVID hit, started walking, started running. And next thing you know, just before his 40th birthday, he's out there in Siberia, minus 18 degrees, Russia's Christmas Day, running a half marathon. So absolutely hats off to you. Now, he said he really enjoyed that event. Many reasons why he enjoyed it. I think probably the fact it was, his first event and doing a half marathon, getting told that he shouldn't be planning for his 40th, and there he is. He's out there running a half marathon. So he's doing absolutely amazing. And then he said the support on the course as well. He said there's so many families there, so many different people running. And I think like any running event is you get that collective people. You get so many different people out there running and supporting. It's amazing. But he said the support was really, really great on the course. So really happy he got through it. And he did mention to me though that he was a bit disappointed because about, 8 people or 6 people in hazmat suits finished in front of him. But he will say this, to give himself some street cred, he did beat a couple Captain Americas and an Incredible Hulk. So absolutely hats off to you, mate. Well done for going over there and completing your first half marathon. I thought it was amazing. And yeah, minus 18 degrees, pretty crazy. If you haven't seen, I have put an image on Instagram. Please go over and check it out. There's a couple images there of Simon during some of his runs, and one of them is this run in Siberia. It's pretty incredible. So yeah, congratulations to that, mate. So I've asked Simon about the other events that he's done. He's actually carried out around about total 25 events. One 10K event. He's done 18 half marathons, 125, and 6 marathons. And he's actually got booked in for some more marathons this year. He's going to head over to San Francisco. He's going to head to Cape Town and to Singapore to compete in the marathons. And he's just done a marathon recently as well. So again, hats off to you, Simon. Like, I think it's such an incredible start to your running journey, and then your progression into the running journey of how you've pushed your limits. You've done your first half marathon here in January 2022. And here we are in 2025. 25 events later, plus 3 more marathons. It's amazing. Like I'm in awe of it. I think it's an amazing journey you've been on, and just incredible that you're just pushing yourself out there. So, as I mentioned, I met Simon over in Petra last year when me and Clara were doing a half marathon. So I asked Simon about a funny story. So what is a funny story you have when you're running? And as we can all attest to, we have many stories when it comes to running. Some people find some of our stories funny. Some people don't find them so funny, but we do. And yeah, there's so many different stories we have. But Simon's funny story actually happened to be when we met him. So as I said, I'll go back to a little bit of when we met Simon. We were over there with Albatross Adventure Tours, who I mentioned recently just had the Ice Forge Midnight Marathon last weekend. And me and Clara are heading over to Iceland later on this month, only in a few weeks, to carry out the Volcano Marathon over there in Iceland. Now, they do so many amazing events, Albatross do. And Simon himself has actually carried out a couple Albatross events. He's done the South Africa Safari Marathon, which is pretty incredible, running around the animals. And he's also done Petra. Now, he went back, this was his second year at Petra. He went the year before and he done the half marathon. And he went back last year to do the marathon. Now, his partner Sophia was carrying out the half marathon. So, let's say we met them there, and we met many different people, and Simon and Sophia were two of them. And just hearing their story at that time is really cool. And I say I love to hear people's running stories and different people that have carried out these events. So, Simon's funny story is at this event. Now, he was running the marathon, and his partner Sophia was running a half marathon. So he decided to run with Sophia the first part of the race with the Petra Desert Marathon. The marathon and half marathon both start off at the same spot, and they finish at the same spot. And the course is, I think it's about 11 to 12 kilometers is the start of the course is all together. And then the marathon runners, they divide off. While us half marathon runners, we cut the course short, shall we say. And the marathon runners, they carry on and then they meet back up on the course and to finish. So Simon's idea was to take it a little bit easy. Run with Sophia, enjoy being there, and as Sophia carries on with the half marathon, he was then going to shoot off and then pick up the pace a little bit and enjoy the rest of the run. So he knew at the start he was pretty much behind everyone, but it wasn't about time, right? These marathons that Albatross do, and these, they are adventure marathons. It's about the adventure. We get to see a country. For me and Clara to go over to Jordan for the first time, we got to experience Jordan, which was incredible, and experience Petra as well. And then we get to run there as well. It just, tops it off even more, right? So these aren't about for time. They're about to enjoy it, and you enjoy your run. You run how you want to run. For me and Clara, we ran the half marathon and we really enjoyed it. Yeah, we pushed ourselves as much as we can, but for Simon it was about enjoying it, and he wanted to just go out there and enjoy it. Now, because he'd done it the year before, he knew about the hills at Petra. Now, me and Clara, we didn't know about the hills, so definitely that's something that I would recommend anyone carrying out Petra. There's definitely some hills and they're quite challenging. So he knew that he wasn't going to be at a blistering pace for the first part of the race when he was running with Sophia. But as I say, he then got onto his his marathon after the half marathon runners carried on. He was onto his marathon. Now, he got into the pace and he was enjoying it and just going through the run as normal, just having fun out there. And he was following footsteps. He knew that there was quite a lot of people in front of him, didn't bother him, just follow the footsteps, follow the signs, just keep going. Now, he got to this one sign and it was pointing the other way. And he thought, maybe someone's moved it, because, the guys out there, they go and put the course together, they put the signs out the day before. There's locals around, there's young kids around. They might want to move a sign, make it fun, try and make us think we're going the wrong way. And for Simon, he's seen that. I thought, maybe someone's just moved it, not to worry. But he was lucky enough that there was a local there that was part of the Albatross group, and it was one of the locals, and he said to him, do I carry on or do I turn around? He wasn't quite sure. That local guy was just like, yeah, carry on. So I was like, okay, that must be it. If he's telling me to carry on, I got to carry on. So he starts carrying on. And as he's running, he starts realizing that there's not many footprints around here now. I've been following some footprints and I can't really see many footprints, but no worries. He told me to carry on. I'll keep going. So he carries on and he thought to himself, I can't turn around, right? Because if I turn around, maybe I've not done the distance. And then maybe I've missed a part and, they'll tell me, you've missed it. You haven't finished the marathon. But then all of a sudden, the car starts driving down pretty fast. And then a guy jumps out and goes, what are you doing, mate? And Simon's like, I'm just running. The guy told me to run down. He goes, no. You got to turn around back there. So you got to go back. So Simon's like, okay, no worries. He turned around, started running back. Got to the point where that sign was pointing in the wrong direction, and it just so happened that is a turnaround point, and he should have run back. Now, as he runs past this local, he kind of gives him a look, and the local is looking a little bit sheepish. So Simon wasn't sure if the guy had done it on purpose or if it was a genuine mistake, that he thought it was that way, or if he did it and was trying to make Simon run a bit further. But he gets back and he's done about an extra 4 kilometers. So already on top of a marathon, he's done an extra 4 kilometers. But he's back on the course and he's back running. But he starts looking at his watch. And as I say, he started off the first part of the race at a very leisurely pace. He was just enjoying it with his partner and not really worried about time. But all of a sudden, there's a cut-off point, right? So there's a cut-off point at I think it's around 30 kilometers, he said. And he had to get there before a certain time. And he starts looking at the watch and thinking, I've got to pick up the pace here. I need to make sure I get in front of that cut-off point. So he starts running at his 5K pace. Now, that's not ideal, right? We've kind of been running the marathon. He's already at around about 25, 26 kilometers, and he's got to really pick up the pace to get to that cutoff. So he picks up the pace, running about 5-kilometer pace, and he gets over there within time to spare. So he's like, okay, I can rest a little bit now. I've got past that cutoff. I've got a couple hours or so just to do the last sort of 10, 11K. So he gets through it, and he does get to the finish line. And he does it in the time, and he's there before the cutoff time, and he gets his medal. And I must say, a very well deserved medal for sure. An extra 4 kilometers, and in Petra as well, the elevation there, the hills, the up and the downhill as well, is not an easy half marathon, let alone a marathon. So absolutely congratulations again to you, Simon, for getting through that. And yeah, I mean, the poor local, maybe it was a genuine mistake. Maybe genuinely trying to make Simon run harder. So yeah, poor Simon as well, ends up running an extra 4K, but he does get there to finish it. And I remember the story when he told us when we were there last year. Obviously, a lot of us found it funny. Poor Simon at the time did not find it funny. And I can assure you, as he's running back after he'd done that extra 4 kilometers, there was a few choice words being said to himself as he's running there. And yeah, I do feel for you, mate. But also, congratulations for getting through it. So yeah, that was kind of Simon's funny story, shall we say, of running. And certainly it was a point to talk about at Petra there. We were all talking about that. So yeah, a little bit of a funny issue there, but congratulations to Simon to get through it. Let's say we really enjoyed being over there in Petra. We got to meet so many people, and Simon was one of those people that we met that just has an incredible story with his running journey. As I've mentioned, he's now completed many events, and to go do Petra the half marathon and then going back and doing the marathon distance, well done, mate. That's absolutely amazing. So then my last question I asked him what sort of advice would you give other runners? I always like to hear from advice from other people, because we all have different points of view of running. And like he said to me, he goes, look, I could give you the normal spiel, right? Normal advice of what we normally tell everyone when we're running. He goes, but I want to give you something that I think, other runners should think about. And his advice was to push your luck. And I thought about that a little bit. And obviously Simon diverged more into it of why he sort of said push your luck. And I thought it was a really quite a good bit of advice. Now, when Simon said it's not about pushing your luck in the fact that you've only run like 5-10K distances and then go out, I want to do a marathon, I want to do an ultra. Now, not that sort of push your luck, but on your event, push your luck a little bit. Maybe go out there and go hey, maybe I could push a little bit harder, or maybe I could go a bit quicker, or whatever it might be. But try and do that, because what's the worst that's going to happen? Like Simon said, the worst thing is that you get a DNF, right? You don't finish and you don't get your medal that day, but you kind of dust yourself off and you get back to it and you come back stronger and harder and you learn from it. But most of the time we do finish anyway, right? Unless there's a cutoff point, like in Petra there, Simon has a cutoff point where he might not have made it. But if there's not a cutoff point, the chances are we're going to finish. But if you don't, that is kind of the worst thing. Whereas if you kind of think to yourself, when you push your luck a little bit, you push your limits, you might surprise yourself. Like I mentioned last week, when the reasons why I think, everyone should run a marathon at least once is because of the feeling that you get, and also how much you realize you can do. Marathon training definitely does that for you, and running 26, miles or 42 kilometers, it certainly does it for you. You certainly realize what you can actually achieve and what you can push yourself. So yeah, with Simon's, advice, I get it. I really do understand. And I thought about it, added it into my running as well. And I think going back to my marathon I've done recently, I think I did do that at the start. I did push my luck. I knew I went out a lot quicker than I should have, but I thought, if I do this, maybe later on in the race, when I do tire a little bit, I'll still be where I want to be. Unfortunately for me, I tired a little bit more than I wanted to and didn't quite keep the pace that I was hoping for. But yeah, I think, I did push my luck. And what's the worst thing that happened? I didn't quite get my time. Oh well, I learned from it, right? And that's what I mentioned to you guys. A lot of running is about that. We learn on every run, whether it's just a 10K run in the evening, whether it's an early morning run, whether it's an event, we learn from it. So yeah, pushing our luck a little bit, we certainly will learn from that. So I kind of like that advice. So, with Simon, he's now really got into running so much so that he loves to then incorporate running and traveling. So now he doesn't really go on a holiday or go on a trip unless he can run. As I mentioned, he's got, 25 events under his belt. He's got some more booked. He's doing San Francisco Marathon. He's doing Cape Town Marathon, and he's doing Singapore Marathon for the rest of the year. So, already he's getting to incorporate traveling, and it's kind of similar to me and Clara now as well. It's something I mentioned on the podcast in the previous episode that it's not something we really thought about until recently, and we started doing it. We've done some events within Australia and traveled within Australia, but now to travel around the world and to kind of add a run into it is definitely something I really admire as well from people that can do that. And Simon definitely is one of those people that now when it comes to traveling, he wants to try and get a run in there, and it's taken him to many different countries. He's gone 9 different countries to run in as well. He's like I mentioned, he's gone to to South Africa, he's gone to Jordan, he's been Abu Dhabi, in Saudi where he's currently living, and just traveling the world running, I think is an amazing thing. It's something that I really love now and I really want to do more of. And as me and Clara get into running more and do more different events, we certainly look at doing different events around the world. And recently doing Boston with Clara was amazing to experience that, and something that I really want to do myself. So I love that about Simon, that now it's about, when he thinks about traveling, is where can I run? I want to make sure I get a run in there. So yeah, massive hats off to you, Simon. So the one thing I will say, I'm really privileged to be able to share this story with you guys, and a really big thank you to Simon for allowing me to share this story. First thing I'd like to say is, a big congratulations to Simon on the journey he's been on and just where he's at right now. He's super enjoying running, and he's running super well. Like I for one, been really lucky to be able to follow your journey, and something I'm excited to hear about your other runs coming up, and I just can't wait to hear more. I just think you're doing amazing out there, mate, and it's great to hear. So yeah, really a big thank you for allowing me to share your story and taking the time out and sharing it with me. So as I mentioned, guys, I will always love to share people's stories. So reach out to me, and if you want me to share your story and have a conversation about running, I'm always open to it. I love to talk about running, and I love to hear views of you guys as well. So as I say, big thank you to Simon for allowing me to share this story. And I hope you've really enjoyed tuning in this week. As always, please, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, wherever you're listening. Follow me on Instagram. I always like to post a few things on Instagram. Recently, during the week, we had Global Running Day, so I hope everyone went out on Wednesday and had a great run. I for one did. I really enjoyed going out for a run on Global Running Day. It's something that we definitely need to celebrate in the running community, and something super cool to have a whole day for ourselves, just go out there and run. So hope everyone enjoyed Global Running Day, and I hope everyone enjoys any events or any runs they're taking out this weekend. I for one am looking forward to my run on Sunday, and as always, until next time, happy running.